So in this session, I will talk about the placement of particles when it comes to the type of jittered. So to show it, I have created two pawns here, which will be the source of the particles. And then you can see two particles here. And since it's jittered, it's very much dependent on the faces of the object. So if I select the chessboard and then press Tab to show you and go to face select here, you can see that every square is a face of its own. So I go back with Tab again, and right now I've told the particles that it will be only one particle on each face. That you can see if you go to the right here, particle properties and particles face. It's only one. So if I put two, you can see it's get a bit scattered here, but we take that later on. So right now I just put that back to 1. I get up to the number and change this to 64. When I have 64, you can see that everything is perfectly placed on our chessboard. 1 for each face. That doesn't matter if I change the seed here or if I change the jittering amount. Nothing will be changed. It's still just one particle per face. And that means that if we use 1, it's always centered on the face. However, if we use 2 or 3, it would not have been centered anymore. When you're placing those, you can of course use random order if you want to. But you should have some caution here, because random order also means that we can get duplicates on the same place. So if I now press random order, you can see that it gets a little bit jittered, but also that we have some gaps here, and the gaps here is because some of those are duplicate on those that already have pawns on them. So it could be that this pawn is like 2 pawns here, and this is 3 pawns, depending on where the particles are put. So if you are sure that you would want 1 on each, then you should not use random order. We also have even distribution, and that is more to get the same density on the complete surface, regardless if you have small or big faces in your object. Right now I have, if I press Tab again to go to edit mode, the same size on each face. So that means that in our case, even distribution doesn't matter. It will do the same thing if it's checked or unchecked. If we had different sizes of the faces, it had been so that it would be trying to put everything in a good and even density. However, it does not work if you only have one particle per face. You should have more than one, so it has the possibility to jitter or scatter. When it comes to jittering amount and the seed here, it works as soon as we have particle faces greater than 1 or as 0. So right now it has changed the jittering amount, and you can see that these pawns are moving. And the same if I change the seed. So this works very nicely. If you have many particles on a face, or if you have it on 0, which means like it's automatically spread, and works best when you work together with even distribution. So now when I change it, you can also see that it changed here, and it changes when I work with the seed here. But if I now go back to one particle at the face here, you can also see that I have white and black evenly spread in a good way. This is not something that typically goes automatically. So you have to do some manual stuff to make this happen. What I do is that first of all I have selected these two as a connection. So if you could go look up the list, you can see that I have the pawn, which is the white one, and I have pawn 001, which is the black one. Those two are in the collection called pawns. If I now go back to the chessboard and give it to my particle settings, you can see in the part that is called render that I use collection and that I use collection pawns. The reason that I have them white and black is that I use count. So when I use count, I can tell the particles that they will have one that is white and one that is black. If I want to change the relation, so I want more white for instance, then I just increase the amount here. And now I increase the amount for the black. If I go back here and change the amount for the white, you can see now that I get more of the white. So now I got 5 whites and 1 black. And if I do the opposite, I can then do like 5 black and only 1 white for each black here. So it's a good way to control the amount of white and black or amount of objects that you would like to use in this collection. You can also use, I take away that and press pick random, and when you use pick random and we go up here and change the seed, which means that everything will be in order again, we can see that now everything is scattered. So it can be that we don't use 1 black and 1 white. It could be like, so we have like 60% black and 40% white. It's completely random since we are in the rendered view here uses pick random of these two. So this is a little bit how it works when we're working with jittered. And the fine thing with jittered is that you don't want objects to be above each other, but you don't want them to collide as well. Then you have these limitations. So if I only want 4 pieces on each face, then I just select 4 particles on each face. And then I can be sure that if it would never be more than 4 particles on that face. However, you can see that they're not staying inside the face, and that is because the particles are working with the origin in the object here. So that means that one face goes from this edge here around all the way, then it checks so that the origin of all that pawn here is inside that edge. That means that half of the pawn could be on the other side of this face. However, you know it will be only in this area these maximum of 4 particles will be. So you can limit the risk that things go into each other or collide using it like this. So now you know a little bit about jittered here, and one thing you should know more about jittered is that it works both as an emitter and as hair. So it's no different if you use it as hair or as emitter. If you use it as an emitter, it will work with the physics. So when you play the animation, everything will go down. And now it's lost. So now it's really far right here. But if I go back to frame 1 and instead use hair for my things here and then press play, nothing will happen. Because the hair is stuck on the emitter, the one that creates the particles. So if you want it to stay, then use hair. Also, if you use hair, be aware of the hair length. So now I use scale of 1 for everything. So that means that this has the same scale as the source for the particles, but the hair length can change that. So that if we don't have the correct length, you can increase or decrease the length of the hair and also the length of the particles in that case. So that is something that you should be aware of if you're using hair instead of an emitter. Okay, so now you know a little bit about how jittered works, and in next session I will go through the grid instead. So see you there. Bye for now.